Over the years, I have reviewed many clubs by massive sports retailer Decathlon, and they called their club range Anesis. And to be honest, I was seriously impressed. They were aimed at beginner, new golfers who just wanted to get the ball up in the air. They were cheap, they were reliable, and they performed really well. But now I've got my hands on the 900 series driver. Now this is specifically aimed at the better golfer. Decathlon and Anesis say that this is a driver which is perfect for a handicap of 15 and under. Oh my God, zoom in on the pin. Just get there. Just get there. Ah! Oh, there we go. Welcome to the party, Anesis 900. By the way, this is going to be the first hole of the Solheim Cup for 2023 here at La Finca Courtesan, and that is stunning. That is special. So the 900 series, that's kind of aiming to compete a little bit more with the big boys. You know, you've got your Titleist, you've got your Callaway, you know, these types of companies. That's what Anesis are trying to elbow in on now. Ooh, travel, I think I've picked the longest carry point. Go, 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 go. Whew. Why are we starting on this hole? Why are we starting this video on this? I've not brought this many balls over with me. But that's not the only difference with this driver. So whilst the 500 was priced at £150, which I think represented very, very good value, the 900 is 250, so it's an extra 100 quid. Now for that extra money, I would expect an extra level of performance, or what's the point? Now compared to some of the other brands that Anesis is trying to compete with here, this is still a lot cheaper. But for that extra money, I do expect more, much more. Some of those T marks from the Stingers, just been trying to play. So for the extra money, what are you going to get? Well, Anesis have stuck two weights in the bottom of this club. They're interchangeable, so you've got a 4 gram weight at the front and a 14 gram weight at the back. Now you can switch these around. If you put the 14 gram weight at the front, Anesis say this is going to have a lower ball flight, but we will be putting this to the test in the studio, so stay tuned. Club head wise is 440 rather than 460 to help some aerodynamics. We have a forged titanium face as well, and it is a titanium club head. Behind the ball, it looks all right. It feels still slightly toed in. That's something you see with the 500 drivers. You feel like they're going to hit the ball left all the time. And this similar-ish vibe. I got a stiff shaft here, just a standard one, but I can't adjust this club head. Now we'll get into that again in the studio. This is a 10-degree club head, and that's what I have to stick with. Feel-wise, sound-wise, it feels a bit hard, is probably the best way of describing it, especially if the strikes just meander off the middle of the club face. And that's something that Anesis have actually said about this driver. They've actively reduced the MOI, so reduced the amount of forgiveness, to add in more workability, to add in a little bit more power behind those center strikes. This is not as forgiving as I think it could be. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We will leave Spain, we will head back to Manchester, get in the studio. Let's see what the data says. How can it compete and compare with, what should we put it against? How does the Anesis driver stack up against its competition? Because that's what Anesis have done here. They've not made a driver which is cheap and cheerful. This driver is designed with your more regular golfer in mind. And that is why I'm holding it to a higher standard. And because of that higher standard, there is an issue straight away. There's no adjustability within the shaft. This is a UST shaft, it's in stiff, it feels okay. The head is at a 10-degree loft, but there is no interchangeability here. But remember, this club isn't meant to be sold by fitters. This is being sold in a sports mega store, and you're relying on the golfer to figure out if they are going to have the right specs. Now, admittedly, this driver isn't aimed at me. This is aimed at a mid-handicap range. But I am intrigued to see what difference is made by switching these two weights in the bottom, because shifting a 4 gram weight from the front to the back while shifting a 14 gram weight from the back to the front should make significant differences on the data. It should turn it into a much lower spinning driver. Lower spinning driver. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be hitting around 10 shots. Because of the stiffness of the shaft, I can't swing at my full speed, so I'm going to try and be swinging this around 105, 110 miles an hour. Right, let's get going. And that's not going to work. That doesn't fit. It's a bit awkward. Does this mean we're going to get a different wrench? They can't make us get a different wrench. So there we have another issue. Just seems a bit rubbish. That, why would you not just make it the same as everything else? So let's hope we see a bit of a difference in the data. Despite these slight hiccups, I've got a good feeling. I think we should see a difference. I'm not gonna lie, slightly unexpected results. So swing speed, managed to keep that pretty consistent at 110 miles an hour for both. Ball speed was very consistent as well. So 155.6 for the standard 900 version, and then 155.0 for when I moved the weight further forward to try and induce less spin. And how did that go? I hear you cry. Well, backspin on average for the 10 selected shots with the standard setting was 2,721 revs per minute backspin. Average carry of 261 yards with a total distance of 281. Numbers wise, actually pretty good. Now when we switched over the weights, launch angles were pretty much identical between the two shots. Swing speeds were the same, angle of attack was pretty similar. I was actually hitting up a little bit more with the lower spinning setting, and yet my backspin increased by 200 revs a minute, from 2,700 to 2,900. I don't know what to say, to be honest. The performance was incredibly consistent and incredibly similar, apart from the fact that the low spinning setup span more. So I'm going to compare the Anisis against the TaylorMade Stealth driver, so super premium club. So let's see data-wise how they compare. So again, swinging at about 110 miles an hour. Let's have a look. So I've hit a nice and easy 10 shots with the Stealth here, and there's a few things to point out. First of all, the backspin with the Stealth is much higher than the Anisis driver in both settings. Ball speed is very similar, so 154.3 to 155, but I was swinging the Stealth over a mile an hour slower. So when we have a look at the carry distances here, 252 for the Stealth, 261 and 257 for the Anisis in the low spin version, 270, 281, 275. If I was swinging that Stealth at the same speed, I think those distances would all be quite similar. So data-wise, actually, the Anisis 900 is coming out pretty well. So let's get back to the course to see if I would recommend this driver. So I can't really argue with the data. I mean, it's competing with the Stealth on numbers. So it then comes down to those intangible factors. What do I like and what do I not like? Well, I like the look. I think the look is pretty decent. I'm not 100% on the feel of this driver. It just doesn't, I don't know, it's just not, just doesn't get me in my heart and my soul. These weights, as we've just found out, are pretty useless by the looks of it. Been testing it for about a week, and I think I would need to do a little bit more experimenting around to know for absolutely sure, but they just didn't seem to make any difference at all. The lack of adjustability is an issue, but saying that, once people get a driver, how often do they actually change loft? That's a bit more like it. Wow, that's massive. Sit down. Jeez, that was big. There's also a couple of things like quality issues wise. So the ferrule is starting to come loose from the head a little bit. So that's not going to affect performance. It's just more cosmetics. I like the feel of the shaft. I don't love it. The grip's quite nice, in all fairness. The Anisis grips on the 500s were decent as well though. Would I recommend this driver? Well, the data doesn't lie, but I would say that Anisis targeting a 15 handicapper and lower. I would say the range for this is around 15 to 8. I don't think low handicap golfers are really going to be that bothered about this driver. I think looks wise is decent. I'm just not massively keen on the feel. The feel for me is just a little bit hard. It's also just not as explosive as some of the other drivers out there. But we can't overlook the fact that this is about 250 to 200 pounds cheaper than the drivers it's trying to compete with. So in that sense, yeah, it's another absolutely fantastic club. But guys, as always, get down to those comments, and if you have liked this video, check out these other driver reviews here. There's a lot of equipment which is going to be coming very, very soon, so make sure you're subscribed and you hit that bell icon so you don't miss any more videos.